Hey everyone, Leanne here from Kingdom Bloggers. So today I want to talk to you about email list building. Now, I get a lot of comments, I get a lot of emails and questions related to building and nurturing an effective and fruitful email list. And most of them kind of relate to when should I start it? Or they've already started it. So the question is, why isn't it working? So we're going to kind of unpack that. And I'm going to give you kind of my perspective. And this has been very fruitful for me since the beginning. And all of my students who kind of use this strategy all end up doing fairly well with their email list. Now, what I'm going to tell you is actually contradictory to what almost all blogging coaches will tell you. The majority of them tell you start that email list the day your blog goes live. My perspective is please don't do that. Just don't. And we're going to unpack why you should not start your email list on day one. So, first and foremost, it's important to understand that your email list, building an email list, isn't the same as, say, adding a new plugin to your website. I mean, there's an expense at some point with it, but it's not just this thing you do. Just like with your blog, you need a solid plan. This isn't just a plug and play kind of thing where you just do it and it works. You need a plan, just how with your blog, you needed to figure out your target audience. You needed to sort of research them, figure out what type of content they're looking for, and then learn how to SEO that content or put it out in a way that they will be able to find it and engage with it. But starting a blog without any of that knowledge is insane. You're just going to be dumping out money for a website that nobody's going to be visiting, nobody's ever going to find your content, and you become a slave to constantly sharing it on social media just to get anybody to read it. We all can relate to that struggle, right? So when you finally get that plan, that solid plan for the right audience, what that audience wants, and how to create the content that they will engage with, then your blog starts growing. In the same way, creating and nurturing an email list requires a solid plan. So if you're still figuring out the plan for your blog, how are you really going to figure out a plan for your email list? You can't really build two foundations at the same time. And you will end up spending a lot of money on your email platform and really a lot of headaches and stress and overwhelm trying to figure out, like, what am I going to send them? Okay. So if you don't have a solid plan and a strategy to implement that plan, what's the point? So the next thing is that you need to consider is what is your goal? Most people never ask themselves this question. Usually when I ask people like, why do you want to start an email list right now? Well, this just because that's what people say I'm supposed to do. That's not a goal. That is just going along with the status quo and not questioning the why. It is so important that we understand why we do the things we do in the context of blogging and social media and all this online stuff. Don't just do it because everyone else is doing it. That's like jumping off the cliff that we tell our children that story all the time. So, what is your goal? A goal might be to get more traffic back to my site. So, I have subscribers, and every week I send them the new blog post. They click that link, and boom, I'm getting traffic. And if you are hoping to get towards, say, monetization, so like 25,000 to 50,000 monthly traffic sessions to your site, that's to qualify for ad revenue. That's a goal. I want to build the traffic to my site. Of course, organic traffic coming from Google and different places, that's traffic too. But your email list, one of the main goals of having it is to help increase your traffic. So if you don't really have a lot of content on your site, there's not much traffic to be had. But again, you have to identify your goal. Another goal could simply be building community. I'm not necessarily worried about my blog traffic. I just want to build a community where I send out emails to encourage women, help them in their walk with Christ, or whatever it may be. You have no secondary goal really other than to build community. You're not trying to sell stuff. You're not trying to send them to build traffic to your YouTube channel or, your blog or anything else. And that's a great plan. Understand that plan can be fruitful, but at some point you're going to have to pay for that plan. And so you may want to add some additional goals into that. Another goal that I've seen people use email lists for. Let's say you have a Facebook group for Bible study, and you do your Bible study in this Facebook group. And some of the people have asked for all of the email or the materials to be sent to them via email so they have it as a backup. That's a goal. So ultimately, before you start spending money and time and energy and all the things on building an email list, what is your why? Why do you want this email list? Next, number 3, what are you going to send them? Excuse me. So let's say your goal is to get more blog traffic. So obviously, I'm going to send them new blog posts. Well, here's the thing. As much as we want to think that when people subscribe, they're just so looking forward to that new blog post so they can read it, generally they're not. People are so bombarded with emails. I tell you, it takes me a good 30 minutes. I have like 5 email addresses. I create new ones because my old ones get infected with all the spam and I can't get out of it. And so I go through and I delete. The course of every single day, I spend about 30 minutes cleaning all the spam out of my email. So if I'm going to open your email, it needs to be something that I'm going to engage with and I really want to read or I really want to open. Most blog content doesn't really fill that. And so there's certain types of content that does. So if you are a brand new blogger, still kind of navigating the whole blogging side of things, figuring out what type of content to write, and you're not really sure what your readers are engaging with, building your email list from day one, you're just sending them a link to something and hoping it catches. That's like, just throwing a line out, not using the right bait, not knowing what time of day the fish come and all that. I fish. I live in South Texas. You strategize how you do that. And so this is another reason my feeling is that you should wait. Build that foundation of your website so you can get to know who your audience is and what they want from you. And when you do that, they will be looking forward to your emails. Right now, my email I have two lists, one for blogging and one for my faith Bible study content. And I have about a 50 to 60% open rate. And it is because the stuff I'm sending is stuff that people are looking forward to. It's not just a blog post. I send resources and all kinds of other stuff out to help them. So the goal with mine, yes, is blog traffic and also traffic to my YouTube videos. But ultimately, I want to send them stuff that's going to help them at the same time. And so it's taken me a while to figure out what type of content my audience is truly going to engage with. But the purpose, like why they sign up, is because they received Bible study resources. That's why they signed up. And so that kind of leads into the next one. So, what are you going to send them? Well, what did they sign up for? When they subscribed to your blog, what was the premise? Sign up to get the latest blog post. Most people, by the way, that's not going to be a high converting opt-in. Sign up to get the latest post. Most people, on average, there will be some, I'm not saying it's zero, but the amount of people who will sign up for that type of opt-in option is going to be very minimal. Sign up to get my 12-month Bible reading plan. That's something that is going to bring people who are interested in Bible study, and they're going to get this really great free thing that they can use. And then my weekly emails are all going to relate to Bible study. So everything has to match. What I see happen a lot of times is you have this really great opt-in, but what you send them every week really kind of doesn't jive. It doesn't match. And oftentimes I see the question being asked, well, what kind of opt-in are you people like in the group using? Because I need one. Well, you could ask for general ideas of types of opt-ins, but just because this opt-in works on my site doesn't mean it will work for your site and the type of content you're producing. And this is where the waiting to start your email list comes into play. If you started from day one, you don't even know what you're doing at this point. Let's be honest. I mean, I was right there with you. So I'm not like pointing fingers. I was that person. It took me 3 different blog tries to get it right. And so, but during that year, the first year of blogging, once I figured out what I was doing, then I'll see what blog posts are bringing the most traffic. So what topics or what type of content are people finding that's bringing the majority of the people to my site? That's my starting point for figuring out what type of opt-in to create. I don't just randomly create something. You should create something that the people who are already coming, that you know they would be interested in because it relates to why they're already coming. So for instance, if I had a post, whether via Pinterest or Google or some other place, for those scripture writing plans, then like I do have content on my site where they can get them for free or whatever. I actually just turn that into an opt-in. I mean, it's free on my site. If they find it organically, they can get it for free. But that has been my number one opt-in to get people to subscribe to my site, to my email list. It's something that they wanted. And on the flip side, every email I send out is related to some sort of Bible study, tool, tip, resource, insight, deep dive, whatever. It's all about Bible study. Now, if you're not doing Bible study, what are you doing? What is the purpose? Who are you trying to minister to through your blog? What content is bringing the majority of them to you? What type of content? What's the topic or the theme or whatever? What can you create that will entice more people to sign up? And then make sure you're making good on the flip side of it. And I'm telling you all this as this should be your strategy, but chances are you don't have the people coming to your site yet for you to actually figure this out in a realistic manner. If you only have 4 or 5 visits a week or a month, that's really not enough to get enough information to effectively create a plan that's going to work. So the opt-ins are very important once you do start building this email list. So I guess I should have premised this post with, I'm going to give you 2 things: when you should start it, and then when you do start it, know these things. So now we're into the know and do these things part. So your opt-in is so important and so vital. So if you are currently building your email list and nobody's signing up, well, number one, do you have traffic? Like, if nobody's visiting your site, nobody's there to sign up. Also, if you are getting traffic, but the majority of the people visiting these posts are other bloggers, because you're doing those blogger share threads that I tell everybody not to do, they're not going to sign up because they're too busy trying to figure out their own target audience. They don't need extra emails. They are still trying to figure out their own plan. So building that content first, getting to your audience, the audience you're trying to reach organically. And just so you know, organically means they find you in a Google, Yahoo, or being searched. They find you on Pinterest. They see your posts on Facebook and they engage with it. That's organic. Blogger share groups, not organic. Okay. So once you've got the opt-ins that hopefully, if what you're doing now is not bringing subscribers and you do have organic traffic, the problem is your opt-in. It's no good. Sign up for the latest post. Big X, right? We have that Family Feud X on the screen here. Create something based on the reasons they're coming to your site. Look at your top traffic posts. What are they about? What is something that you can create? And don't just randomly create something. What is something that can be beneficial to them, right? A 12-month study plan is beneficial to someone trying to study and read the Bible more consistently. So think in terms of practical application and use of the thing you're going to create. Then we want to streamline the whole process. Once they sign up, then what? They should go right into a welcome sequence. And then they should be getting emails from you regularly. One thing that I hear over and over, and it's kind of funny when I kind of start talking about email list building, they'll ask, I have an email list of about 1,000 people, but I haven't emailed them in like 6 months. So this is you don't have an email list of 1,000 people. Why did you build your list if you weren't going to do anything with it? Okay. That's just insane. It's a waste of money if you're paying for any part of the email, but it's also, you're adding why? Like, why did you do it? Okay. So I'm pointing that out. Like, why did you do it? And now that you can see that, well, because everyone said I should, now you can look at it and say, okay, I'm just going to go clean. I'm going to get rid of it. I'm going to start fresh. Well, these people signed up. Yeah, they signed up 6 months ago and they have not heard from you. If you send them an email now, they're going to be like, who dis? How do I know? Because I get them all the time from people I've signed up. I don't even remember signing up. I mean, I recognize the name, but it's been so long. And then they just randomly start emailing. And I don't even remember why I signed up. And then I start reading their emails and it's like nothing I'm really interested in. So if you're not ready to invest that effort and that energy into actually nurturing them, don't do it. You're wasting your time and you're wasting theirs as well. So, what is the automation? Once they sign up, they get the whatever the opt-in is that you're giving them. And then they immediately get a welcome email that says, "Hey, I'm Leanne. Welcome to, my ministry, my Kingdom Bloggers, Kingdom Living, whatever. I am here to help you, get more consistent in your Bible study, spend more time in the Word, and actually really understand it if you're, kind of a new believer or something." Say it in your voice, be you, but welcome them immediately. As soon as they sign up and get that freebie, connect with them. You can automate this. All the email service plans, ConvertKit, MailerLite, Flowdesk, all of them enable you to set up that welcome sequence. It can just be one email. It could be more. I would be mindful on the more. I've got some welcome emails that lasted like 5 days. And by day 2, I was like they were just rambling. Again, you're bothering me in my inbox. It needs to be valuable. Don't just go on and on and on just for the sake of connecting. Make it short, make it sweet, and get out of there. Respect their time. The funniest one was a thing I had signed up for about decluttering and being more organized and less is more. And the emails were like, oh my gosh, I am more cluttered now than before I signed up. Like it totally defeated the point of what they were trying to sell. I mean, they weren't selling a product, they were selling the idea of declutter, but their emails were opposite of declutter. So be mindful of that. Okay. So then they got their welcome email. Now what? You should have a steady, consistent plan for sending out those emails. Once a month, I would probably say is not enough because if I only hear from you once a month, I'm going to forget about you. If you just send a once a month email, I mean, I might if it's like super juicy and really packed full of stuff. But for the most part, I forget. I have so many other emails that I get that I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot I signed up for this. Like, oh, I'll read it later. Maybe biweekly would be more, on the lower end, at least every 2 weeks, ideally every week. Now, if you're going to send it more than once a week, I would be very, very careful with that because it goes back to that 5-day welcome sequence. Like I've signed up for emails and after the welcome sequence, I was just getting regular emails from them almost every single day. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm busy. I have a life. And I'm not trying to be snarky. This is truth. I have a life. I don't have time to read your life story every single day. Like, what is that going to help me? And so you can go overboard with it as well. My rule of thumb is once a week. That's enough to keep me fresh in their minds, but also I am sending them stuff they want and they've asked for. And so every week they know I'm going to send some really great study materials that they can download and access for free. So if you don't have all of that in place first, you have nothing to send them, you're really going to be struggling with those emails every week. And that's the thing I get. Like, I just don't know what to send my email list. I mean, I have 500 people or 1,000 or whatever, and I just don't know what to send them. Well, chances are they're not going to be active and engaged anyway, because if you know your audience, you know what they want. And this comes back around to the plan, having that solid plan before you get started. That plan, like literally, I have a spreadsheet and it's January through December, and I have the dates, week 1, week 2, week 3, whatever the date. Some weeks or some months actually have a 5th week. And so I have the dates. My emails go out on Mondays. So I have the Monday dates for the whole year. Every single day, I've already kind of mapped out what the topic of that email is going to be. And of course, it relates to content I've either already created or that I plan to create before the day comes. And so that email plan is actually based off my content plan for my site. And so there's no guessing. When February rolls around, I already know what I'm sending this month. And I know what the topic of each email is going to be. And I know what blog post or piece of content on my site or resource or whatever is going in that email. It's all mapped out. It's all part of the plan that I created before so that I could ensure that it was a solid strategy for growth, success, fruit, whatever you want to call it. Don't just dive in and be like, okay, what do I do now? Like, that's insane. That never, ever works. And here's the thing. I know ConvertKit's changed their, it used to be like 1,000. And then after that, you had to pay. Now they have a 10,000 one. Some people are doing that one. But regardless of which service provider you're using, at some point, you do have to start paying for it. I have had people tell me they have ConvertKit, and ConvertKit's kind of expensive. I use it, and they had 5 or 10,000 subscribers, and I was like, wow, that's really great. But they maybe emailed once a month if they remembered. And when we got to diving into the analytics, they actually had like a 2% open rate. So if you have 10,000 people and only 2% are actually opening the emails, you do not have 10,000 people. You are paying for 10,000 pounds of dead weight. You're paying for nothing. And to me, that is just, in this economy, that's crazy. Scrubbing your list, making sure only people who are engaged, who want your content, who are going to open it and engage with it. And then you get that by, creating content they like and enjoy. But just to say I have an email list of 10,000 when that 10,000 is not providing any fruit. And fruit could be sales and money and things like that. Fruit could be the traffic back to your blog. But the first fruit from an email list is the open rate. That is the first fruit. So if you don't have at least 20 to 40%, I mean, I would say closer to 40% open rate, you are wasting money. You either need to cut it back or reevaluate your plan so that it is fruitful. And again, it's not about the money, it's about what God's called you to do and how to reach people and nurture and pour into them. If they're not opening the emails, you are not accomplishing the mission. Okay. Okay, so streamline your automation process, get that welcome email going, and then your plan for those weekly emails. You could even write all those emails today and schedule them out, and then you're done for the month. Then you just reply to any responses you get, which gives me my last one, the time it takes to nurture a list. Actually, one of the women in my membership pointed this out to me a couple of months ago, and I was like, it's funny, I say this all the time. She is now finally seeing it. She's had a baby and she homeschools her others, and she's doing this ministry and stuff. And because her email list is so engaged, because she's structured and got everything planned ahead of time, she gets so many replies to her emails. And, if you have a list of 10,000 people, you're going to get replies to those emails at some point. And it's just rude if you don't reply back. Right? Like, people took the time to reply to your email. It kind of is an obligation that you take the time and respond back to them again. And this can actually take a big chunk of time out of your day. And that's what she was asking me about. Like, how do you deal with this? And I said, this is the thing nobody talks about. The bigger your list grows, the bigger the time, the chunk of time you have to dedicate each week to responding to them. Because again, it's just rude not to. Right? Like, you're trying to build community here, but that community can't just be a one-way conversation. You're going to get prayer requests. You're going to get people to unload some very heavy burdens that they are going through on you. And it is just not proper for you to not respond back and offer them hope and encouragement. There have been times that some emails I've sent out, I've spent the better part of my Saturday responding to all the comments. And I tell them I may not respond right away because, the week, but by the end of the week, I do. But if you get one that's like, I mean, y'all might get sometimes that are like, borderline emergent, if you will. Like, I am struggling right here in this moment and I need your prayers. And let's say that's on Monday and you don't reply back to them on Sunday. That could impact how they view the Christian community and walking with God, that they reached out, but it took a whole week for somebody to pray for them. So these are the kinds of things you have to think about before you open up that Pandora's box of starting an email list. And these are things people just don't talk about. That's the after. These are things that will happen. And I'm not saying they're negative. They're not negative. It's great that we can pour into people. But it is something that could have a negative kind of connotation when you're like, oh my gosh, I just don't have time to reply to all these people. Well, if you didn't allot for time, then maybe you shouldn't have started the email list just yet. Maybe you weren't ready to take that next step. So that's all I have to say on this. And if I came across as self-righteous or condescending, I don't mean that in any way. I try to be very matter of fact and cut out the feelings and stuff like that, because when we think with our feelings, we often get ourselves into trouble. But at the end of the day, your email list is a very, very valuable tool for God because it enables us to have direct communications with people. I cannot tell you, the women in my membership, we share all of our just everything in that group. And every week, one of them is sharing an email that they received from a reader. Sometimes it's a comment left on a Facebook group, but a lot of times it's an email they received as a reply to the email they sent out. And these can range anywhere from people unloading just like they have cancer and they just need prayers, and they've lost their job and they're about to be homeless, or maybe they're on the verge of something very drastic. And your kind words of encouragement, just to know, I replied back to someone this past week, and it wasn't too heartfelt. My email was just saying, like, let me know what your biggest struggle is in Bible study. And I said, I promise to reply to every single reply. And she wrote back, and it was thoughtful, and she was honest about the struggles and, how she used excuses. And then that led to just all this time and whatever. And I totally related to what she was saying because that's kind of was me. And so I wrote her back, not just a one-liner. I wrote her back like, hey, this was me. This is how I struggled. And then I gave her some ideas of things that helped me. She wrote back to that and was like, I am so surprised that you actually took the time to respond. That's what I'm talking about. When you respond to these people who respond to you, you are showing them that they matter and that they're just not a number, right? We are going to have people connect with us through our blogs, via our email list and social media and all the places that we are, who are desperately in need of connection, community. They feel alone, they feel unheard. And you are that person that's going to be that bridge gapper for them that lets them know they're not alone and maybe even introduce them to Jesus. You have to respond to those emails. Okay, so this is it really this time. Oh no, my ADHD, I just jump from thing to thing. So all this to say, the original question is, when should I start my email list? I would say when you are to the point that you have a plan. Your blog is good. You know your audience. You know what they want. Now it's time to add another level. And I would say this for any level you're trying to add, right? Starting a Facebook group, starting a YouTube channel. I mean, those are different things that have different strategies, but your email list will take a good chunk of change out of your time. And so when is the time for you to start it is a case-by-case basis. When you feel, one, your blog is ready, but more importantly, when you are ready to take on this next level of planning and strategizing. So I would love to hear your feedback. If you have any comments, questions, drop those comments below. Of course, go over to my Facebook group. You can get me in real time over there. And please like this video and share it with any other blogger friends you might have who are struggling in the email arena. I am going to create some more videos about email list building to give you some more ideas and more strategies and things like that. But this was the number one question that I've been being asked a lot lately, so I figured I'd tackle it first. So that's it. Have a great week and God bless. Bye-bye.